We're going to oops, we're going to explore. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to hit continue. There we go. We're going to be exploring the Yukon together today. And as I mentioned, it's one of my favorite places in all of Canada. Today, I'm booking my 6th trip in 5 years up to the Yukon. And I'm really, really thrilled about that because it is truly a magical, magical place. Now, it's the first thing that I think of when I think of the Yukon is the people. They are so friendly and interesting and quirky and bizarre and wonderful. And they'll take time out of whatever they're doing to have a conversation with you and share their stories. And there are plenty of stories in the Yukon. Getting there is really, really easy. You can get there with Air Canada flies there as well, but I'd like to showcase Air North, which is the national carrier of the Yukon. They have amazing service. I like to say it's like stepping back in time. They have freshly made meals that are included in your airfare. They even have special meal service. And the best part ever is that they actually serve warm cookies on the plane. And when you smell them, it's so incredible. They actually have a larger baggage allowance as well, because people going up there usually are bringing gear with them. So they do have a larger baggage allowance, which is really nice as well. And the service really is fantastic. This is a great map of the Yukon. I'm going to take you on kind of a little tour. And today is meant to be really just inspirational. I'm not going to give you too much about specific hotels and tours and things. I'm just going to talk about the Yukon and why you might want to go there. Now, the itinerary I'm going to sort of take you on starts about here in Whitehorse. It heads south a little bit down to Carcross. It's not on the map here, but right about here. And then up to Kluane National Park, which is in this area of Haines Junction and Burwash Landing. Then going north up to Dawson City, which is a must-see. And then after Dawson City, I like to suggest that you stay on for a little while and do one of these incredible lodges that I'm going to tell you about. Now, I should mention to you that the Yukon is about the size of Spain, and it is named after the Yukon actually means Great River. And Whitehorse, the capital city, is named after the whitecaps in the river where the rapids go through Whitehorse in the Yukon River. It's a really, really beautiful, beautiful place. There are over 14 First Nations groups in this area, so very strong Indigenous cultural feel to it. And we do know from research that 1 in 3 Canadians are actively seeking out an Indigenous experience. So if that's you, this is the place to go for sure. Now, I should mention to you that most people think of the Yukon for summertime. Like if you talk to my parents, they're automatically summer, summer, summer. And it really is the most popular season for the Yukon is the summertime. But you're going to notice throughout my presentation, I'm focusing not only on the summer, but also some spectacular winter experiences. So if you're a bit hesitant to travel right now and you are, you definitely want to get going by the fall or winter time, there's all kinds of opportunities for you. I should mention to you that once you've had your 2 jabs, you can go into the Yukon without quarantining. You can actually go right in. You will need to prove with a test once you get there, but it's quite simple, and then you can travel around. Now, if you do go in the winter time, which is, I'm not sure it's my favorite, but I like to say it's my favorite because I love it, love it, love it. I also love the fall. And the summertime, of course, is fabulous too. But if you go in the wintertime and you're from BC, you might not have the clothing in your closet that you need to stay warm in the Yukon. But don't you worry about that because we've got you covered. We have access to incredible clothing rentals. And as you can see in these photographs, except for that hat on the lady in the left, that hat is not included. Everything else is. The mitts, the jacket, ski pants, boots, toque, and neck warmer, all included in the package. And it doesn't matter if you're tall or short, what size you are, we've got all kinds of sizes. So you don't have to worry about a thing. And you don't have to pack it and bring it up there because it'll be waiting for you when you arrive. We can actually have it waiting for you in your hotel room when you get there. Now, the start of every journey to the Yukon tends to start in Whitehorse. Now, Whitehorse is a spectacular little town with lots of personality, but most people don't know that it has a very eclectic food scene. And for me, every journey begins with some kind of dining. I love to do a food tour, which you can do in Whitehorse. But here's a few of my favorite restaurants. Now, you've got to keep in mind that Whitehorse is nowhere near the ocean, but it has one of the best oyster houses I've ever been to in Canada. There's a restaurant called Antoinette's, which is a Caribbean fusion restaurant. And that comes from all these really interesting, eccentric people moving up north and bringing their talents and their creativity and their culture to Whitehorse. There's some fabulous brunch places. I could just eat at a different place every single night. It's definitely part of my journey when I head up to Yukon, and not just Whitehorse, but also in Dawson City. Now, when you go to the Yukon, of course, you expect or hope to see wildlife. And you may indeed see wildlife as you're touring around in the wild. But if you want to ensure that you see wildlife, you would definitely want to visit the Yukon Wildlife Preserve. Now, this facility is spectacular. It's been there for over 50 years, and it cares for the Yukon's injured and orphaned wildlife with the goal of putting the wildlife back into the wild. But in some cases, that simply is not possible. So they are forced to live out their life for the rest of their time at this particular preserve. But it is amazing. It's like a wonderful club just for them. Wide open spaces. They have tons of space to roam, and they're well taken care of. You will see muskox, all kinds of Arctic fox, wild white hares, Dall sheep, bighorn sheep, moose. And these photographs, I should mention, that the majority of the photographs that you're seeing today are actually from my cell phone. So you can see how close up to these animals I actually did get. And if you don't have a fancy camera, you can get some great shots in the Yukon. Now, again, touching on the winter time, it had been years, probably 30 years since I'd been snowmobiling way back when in my days in Alberta when I was growing up. So I did take the opportunity to do a snowmobiling tour, and I highly recommend this. If you've got the need for speed, you can go really fast on the lake. But it's wonderful for just, you can see in the right photograph, that's the front of my snowmobile, and there's the drippy snow on the trees, just cruising down these lovely trails. And then you stop along the way for some hot chocolate and a little snack with giant snowflakes falling all around you. It truly is magical and lots of fun. And I don't think I would have done this if someone hadn't invited me to. And now I say, you've got to do this if you're there in the wintertime. Ice fishing is another wonderful way to get outside. And there are some great programs that we offer with our partners at Lloyds Travel, where you can get out there on the lake and do some ice fishing. Talk about relaxing and exciting if you catch a fish. Little shack to warm up in case it gets too cold. And we actually had a barbecue. You get to have a little barbecue on the ice. And I learned how to build a fire on ice without melting the ice. So you've got to go to figure out that secret. Dog sledding is a must-do as well. And again, this is really about you letting go of everything back home, disconnecting and connecting with nature. If you're a dog lover like I am, you can go there and snuggle the pups, and that you can get absolutely up close. There can be 50, 60 dogs. And there is a misconception. Some people think, oh, these poor dogs. These dogs love what they're doing. They, from years and years, thousands of years, have been doing this exact thing. So they love what they're doing. You can see the energy from these dogs as they bounce, getting ready to pull. Now, I'm sitting in this dog sled behind them. You can actually go there and learn how to mush. We did have a client who went last year, 2 years ago, pardon me, and they did do a 5-day program where they learned how to mush their own dog sled. It's about connecting with nature. There, speaking of dog sleds, there is an incredible race called the Yukon Quest. It happens annually. It did not happen in 2020, of course, for obvious reasons. But this race is world renowned, and it is a 1,000-mile race from Anchorage to Whitehorse, and then the following year from Whitehorse to Anchorage. So depending on what year you go, if you go in February, when it normally takes place, it'll either be at the start of the race as the mushers are leaving to go on this 1,000-mile race, or on the return when they come back. So there's a banquet at the beginning and there's a banquet at the end. And I've been very privileged to do both. Now, this race is really about strength, endurance, It's about the musher and their dogs. And I think it's very interesting to say that equal numbers of mushers were male and female. And they're out on the tundra alone with their dogs for up to 10 or 11 days. The last one I went to, when they were returning, the last person, it was a woman, she returned the night of the banquet. She was the last person in, so she got the Red Lantern Award, and she had fallen through a lake. And that is why she was late returning. So can you just imagine the endurance and the strength that these people have? And they're just the most interesting people you can meet, and you can spend time having chats. I had the best time in the pub having conversations with them. Now, not everything is about outside and cold. There's this wonderful place to go. And who would think of a glassblowing studio as something to do on your vacation? But it's a must do when you're in Whitehorse. In the right-hand photo at the top, there's a lovely lady named Lou, and this studio is a dedication to her daughter. And it is a beautiful spiritual place where you can go and learn how to blow your own glass. I would suggest doing a 2-hour program. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see those glass paperweights. I made those on my 3rd time there. I made butterflies and wine glasses and all kinds of wonderful things. And this is truly an incredible experience. I thought I would go in and get to watch someone blow glass. Who knew I would get to blow my own? Incredible. Now, just before you leave Whitehorse, you might want to visit the SS Klondike, which is a tribute to the riverboat era, which of course leads into the gold rush. And of course, we all think of the gold rush when we're talking about the Yukon. And you can do a little tour of the SS Klondike. Again, before you leave, you definitely want to visit the Kwanlin Dun Cultural Center, and this is a tribute to First Nations culture. I did mention 14 First Nations in the Yukon. You can go in here and there are little circles, conversation circles. You can see elders that are doing bead work. There's workshops to make moccasins. There are elder conversation circles, all kinds of things in this wonderful place. But what's really unique about it during the summer months, in the lower photograph, you see those 3 little shacks. Those are artists in residence. So they have local artists that have a 3-week duration during the summertime inside these little sheds where they work on their art. You can come in, you can view them while they're working on their art projects. It can be beadwork, earrings, jewelry, flints, all kinds of wonderful things. And not only can you speak with the artist, but you can purchase their wares. And I don't think there's anything more special than being able to return home with an item that you purchased from someone who made it. So pretty exciting. Now, of course, if you're going up there in the wintertime, you're more likely to see the Northern Lights, but this photograph was taken in August when we were there, taken from my phone. It is not the best Northern Lights photograph, but I wanted to show you this because it was taken from the Edgewater Hotel in town with light pollution on a cell phone. So it's not the best quality, but look at the photo I got with my cell phone. I think I have one more. I do. Again, with my cell phone, a little bit outside of Whitehorse. We actually walked to this location. Imagine the photographs and the viewing you'll have of the Aurora if you go to an actual platform that's meant for Aurora viewing. And you can go out there and really enjoy this experience, and it is like no other. Now, like I said, the best time to see the Northern Lights is actually January, February, March. But in August, we did see them twice. And what's great about that is that you can see the reflection off the lakes, which is really beautiful. Leaving Whitehorse, heading to Carcross, which is just south of Whitehorse. This is a little community that is completely focused on Indigenous culture. So they've got totem poles. There's a master carver here named Keith Henry Marsh. He will take time to speak with you. There's also the world's smallest desert in Carcross. You can visit here. Really unique, interesting place. The royals came here, and actually Prince William got to paint a totem pole, and he made a mess of it. And there's a big drip on the totem pole from where Prince William made a little mistake, and they left it because they wanted to showcase the fact that he was there. Heading out of there from Carcross, you definitely want to head up to Kluane National Park. This is where Mount Logan is, and Mount Logan is Canada's tallest peak. It is beautiful, and you can do a flight seeing experience here. Oh, amazing. Land on top of a glacier. It is about a 45-minute flight. and it is like nothing I've ever experienced before in my entire life. It has the world's largest diverse group of grizzly bears, different kinds, genetically diverse group of grizzly bears. So all different kinds. Hopefully you'll see one from a distance and not up close. And then also Kathleen Lake. You can see how beautiful the turquoise water is. And when you do the flight seeing experience looking down, you can see this lake and get some incredible photographs. Just beautiful. From that area, oh, I should mention Kluane National Park is fantastic for hiking. So if you're a hiker and into nature and wildlife, that is the place to go. Then we would have you head up to Dawson City. Now, many people would fly up to Dawson City, but you can also drive. This is a great self-drive itinerary where we would work with your travel consultant to put together a package with a car rental, your accommodation, and all of these attractions. So you don't have to do any of the work. Just work with your travel professional to help to put this together for you. In many cases, if you're doing a self-drive, you would go from Whitehorse down to Carcross, through Kluane National Park, and up to Dawson City. There's lots of places in between there I did not mention, like beautiful spots that you can go to. You can go and do a riverboat tour to Fort Selkirk in Pelly Crossing, where you actually go to a fort that's 150 years old and see the culture there. It's incredible. But between Whitehorse and Dawson City, it is about a 6-hour drive. Now, when you arrive into Dawson City, you will see this. Again, these are my photographs, lots of color. There's a city bylaw that says that they cannot have any buildings that look new. So even brand new buildings have to look old. So you can't even tell what's new or what's old. There is definitely this really cool vibe, a lot of energy here, a lot of young people in Dawson City. There used to be, during the gold rush, over 30,000 people. Now there's only about 5,000 people living here, and there's lots to see and do. It is a gateway to nature, and you should know that you can see the lower photograph, the roads are not paved because of the permafrost. It's constantly heaving and moving. In fact, there are 2 buildings downtown that are leaning into each other. They're called the kissing buildings, and I should put a photo in here of that. And it's because the permafrost heaves and moves every year. So it can be kind of messy. In Dawson City, it is the gateway to nature. From here, you can do a flight up to the Tombstone Mountain National Park, which is incredible. Or you can drive up there. You'd be driving up the Dempster Highway if you go in the fall. The fall colors are incredible, great for hiking as well. And while you're up here, you definitely want to try your hand at panning for gold, and you must stop at Diamond Tooth Gertie's to do a little gambling and watch this fabulous show that they have with the Can Girls every evening. And yes, Diamond Tooth Gertie did actually have a diamond in between her 2 front teeth, which makes her seem like she might be a bit of a showboat, but in fact, she was quite shy and timid. Now, the Yukon itself is very famous for the gold rush, which occurred from 1896 to 1899, which was 3 years. And at that time, during that short time, over $29 million worth of gold was taken from this area. It was considered the Paris of the North, and overnight millionaires were made. And when that happens, and there's all kinds of money, they want to spend their money. So what happens? Things start to pop up. We've got saloons, we've got pubs, we've got entertainment shows, we've got houses of ill repute, all kinds of things. So, and I should tell you that most of the people who came up to the gold rush, a lot of them were coming from San Francisco and Seattle. And so they had to make this trek, and they had to bring with them 1 year's worth of supplies to get them through. And there was a gentleman, as they came over the mountain, with a big gun, making sure that they had their supplies. And unfortunately, it was only a few people who actually made it there and put all their stakes to the claims. And so a lot of people came too late because they had to carry all these goods. So by the time they got there, they ended up just working for the gold miners who were already there. So then up to 30,000 people living up there. But really, really incredible, really showed a lot of strength and endurance. So if you're into history and culture, spend at least a couple days up in Dawson City. I would say at least 2 or 3, if not more, because it's so, so beautiful. Now, after you've done all this rushing around and being very, very busy, I'm just gonna look at my time here, you definitely want to bring it down a little bit and relax a little bit. And so I'm gonna take you on a little journey to a few places that you might consider doing after you do this journey. Now, you don't have to do this whole trip. You can start with just Whitehorse, depending on how long you want to go. If you're gonna spend some time in Whitehorse, I would suggest you do 2, 3, maybe even 4 nights from there. Use it as a hub to do many of the activities. Or if you're going to do a longer itinerary and continue on, I would suggest anywhere from a minimum of a week up to 10 days or even longer. It's also popular for RV rentals. So what's great about an RV, of course, is that you've got your accommodation built right in. If you're coming from BC and you want to drive yourself from here, still reach out. It's really important to reach out to your travel professional because they can put together the rest of your package for you so that it's all laid out and prepared for you. And then, of course, Dawson City, having a couple of days there. But after that, oh, I missed a very important point from Dawson City. In Dawson City, you've got to do the sour toe cocktail. And yes, that ugly thing is a real toe. It's a frostbitten toe. And for $5, yes, you have to pay, you can have a drink with a sour toe inside of it. And then this toe must touch your lips in order to get the certificate. Yuck. I didn't get to do it last time, but I will be doing it in August. Now, as you leave Dawson City, as I mentioned, there are quite a few lodges. Several of them are actually closer to Whitehorse. So what I would suggest is to head back that direction and choose one of these beautiful resorts or lodges to spend a minimum of 2 to 3 nights to really unwind and enjoy nature at its best. Now, let's start with the Northern Lights Resort. This one is just a little ways. I believe it's about a half an hour outside of Whitehorse. This is a lovely, lovely resort. And of course, by the name, you can see it's focused on the Northern Lights or the Aurora Borealis. These lovely cabins, full glass fronts. They do have curtains that come from the bottom up, so you can have privacy when necessary, but you can lay in bed and see the Northern Lights because it faces the perfect direction. They are lovely, lovely. But the main lodge also has some rooms, and there are some other cabins that are not the Aurora cabins. This is a very social property. There's communal dining, of course, with COVID. And I should mention that all of the partners that I've discussed today do follow the safe stamp protocol for COVID. So, and I'm very pleased to advise that the Yukon has been exceptional about encouraging their local businesses to get the safe stamp. And the safe stamp really means that they are following all COVID protocols, social distancing, sanitation, and so on. But there's still a social aspect to some of these properties like this one. So you will have communal dining. And by the time you get there with 2 shots, it should be at a stage where you can all dine together. But if not, they will keep you separated slightly, but it's a very social place to be, incredible food, a focus on wellness and well-being, and it does have a little spa in it, so it's absolutely lovely. Another one of my favorites, these are all my favorites, there's many others, I'm showcasing 3 of my favorites. I love the Boreal Ranch. This property is incredible. It's a little bit further, I believe it's about an hour outside, don't quote me on that, but I can double check on that for you after, outside of Whitehorse. This is an inclusive experience where the meals are included and it's a really social setting. So you go and do your things during the day, and if you're at the lodge and it's wintertime, they have snowshoeing, they have fat tire bikes you can use and be outside, cross-country skiing and that kind of thing in the wintertime. In the summertime, lovely hiking around this area, and you can bike as well, bonfires at night, a lovely hot tub, and then communal dining, and they have the best chef ever. But what I love about this property is that they have an honor bar, and it's just like stepping back in time. So you get yourself a beer mug, and they have poker chips, and there's a different color poker chip for each kind of beverage. So if you're having a beer, it might be a green poker chip, a glass of wine might be a burgundy poker chip. And you just, as you are enjoying your stay, you go to the kitchen and grab yourself a glass of wine, you throw a poker chip in your cup, and when you leave the resort, you just square up when you leave. And it gives you that sense, that feeling of almost home, where you can go in the kitchen, grab a beer, grab a glass of wine, or some, sparkling water, or whatever it is you choose. Very, very social experience, and so lovely. So I highly recommend this particular lodge. Now, there's another one that's a little bit further away. It's about 2 hours outside of Whitehorse. This is me about to get into this little airplane. And the real bonus to going to this resort is that you can drive there in a couple of hours, but I do recommend that you do a flight seeing experience to the lodge. It takes about 45 minutes to do this experience. So as you can see, I'm very excited to get into it. And once you're in the airplane, as you're flying to the lodge, this is what you will see. Again, these are both my photos. The one on the left, you can see the beautiful lakes, the turquoise water. We were lucky enough to see moose from above. And I should mention on my snowmobiling excursion, where I showed you the picture earlier, I actually had a mama and a baby moose jump right in front of my snowmobile, which is very unusual. But when you're in the flight seeing experience, you can see this beautiful water. And as you're going along for maybe 10 or 15 minutes between the mountains, and suddenly you're over a glacier. And you can see on the right-hand side, that is a photograph of the glacier with huge crevasses. We're about 150 feet above this. So it went from, I was quite warm in the airplane to actually getting quite cool in the airplane. And so most people think that a flight seeing experience is outrageously expensive, and it is not. Please speak with your travel professional if you're considering going to the Yukon, and include this in your itinerary. If you don't, you've missed out on something that is a once in a lifetime experience. And I don't know anywhere else in the world that you will see such dramatic changes, so beautiful, so remote and incredible. And when you finally finish your 45-minute flight, you would arrive at Southern Lakes Lodge. This place is lovely. I think this is great for couples who are looking for a romantic getaway. Lovely little cottages, and every single cottage is lakefront. And in a moment, I'm going to show you a photograph of the lake that you'll see. So you're sitting in your cottage looking at the lake. Again, communal dining. It's not all inclusive, so it does have a menu. You would order from the menu, so you are quite independent. I shouldn't say communal dining. A communal dining room, you have your own table with your own party, and you order off a menu. So it's very different than the other ones where it's communal dining where you sit together. So it's more for couples or families that want to be really just together and bond and spend time together. Great for viewing the Aurora and truly getting away from it all. In order to get Wi-Fi, I had to stand beside a rock on one foot with one hand in the air. That's how little Wi-Fi there is there. And you know what? We need that. We need to get rid of Zoom and all these things that we're doing, phones and things, and really disconnect. So it's a great, great spot. And I'm going to end on this slide. It is the last slide that I have. This is the lake at Southern Lakes Lodge. So I'm sitting on my balcony right now, overlooking this calm lake. I did wake up the first morning at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I wandered down to this lake. And it is so clear. You could see the rocks and the fish swimming, and it's surrounded by mountains. So I think now is the time to start thinking about journeying to wonderful places in our own backyards, getting out of these four walls, and whether it be summer, fall, perhaps this fall you could join me. I'm going at the end of August, a great time to go. Very few bugs in the fall at all, and of course none in the winter. A few in the summertime, but that's like anywhere else. But a great time to go. So I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you're inspired to possibly think of the Yukon for your next journey. I think Tara is going to come back on and see if there's any questions at all.
Hi, Darcy. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. I know I'm definitely inspired, although I might need to be sold on the sourdough cocktail. But yeah, It was a fantastic presentation. We thank you for coming and doing this for us. If anybody does have any questions right now, we'd be happy to take a couple of questions. You're free to unmute yourself and let us know. If not, I will be putting this video up on our YouTube page for you to refer back to. I'll be sending out an email with that information. So feel free to check that out. If you have any questions at all about any of the destinations, any of the resorts that Darcy mentioned, definitely reach out to our travel agents and we will be very happy to get some more information to you and help you start planning this amazing, inspirational Yukon trip.
Is there questions up here in the chat? Let's just see.
Just popping that up here. From Ian, the gold barges are a fabulous attraction at Dawson City.
Yes, they are 100%. You can actually see from when you're flying over, you can see as well. There's so much gold rush history up there, and you can do fabulous day tours where you can see all of those things. And the interpreters that are there are top notch.
Fabulous. All right. Well, I think we will end it here. Thank you very much. Again, if anybody has any questions at all, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to get more information your way.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.